The death game genre is fascinating to watch. Seeing characters navigate perilous situations and make tough choices to survive can be really gripping. The intense situations in these games often reveal the true character of the players. It's exciting to watch them plan and outwit their rivals, keeping us on the edge of our seats and making us think. SAO manages to botch every aspect of what could make a compelling death game series, resulting in a snooze fest of epic proportions. Swap out SAO for something way better, Most Dangerous Game. It's a fresh take on the classic story, The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. I'll break it down for you and share my thoughts on why it's definitely worth your time.
A desperate man named Dodge Tynes accepts an offer to participate in a deadly game as the prey. Dodge must survive while 5 hunters try to kill him. In this video, I'll break down Season 1 of Most Dangerous Game, Episode 1, The Offer. The series begins with Dodge meeting the hunter organizer, Miles Sellers. Dodge is struggling with money, and he's been having a lot of bad luck lately. Dodge has frequent headaches, and he needs to take pills to stop them from happening. Dodge doesn't have long to live. He requests some money to get treatment and maybe see his son be born. Miles can't loan Dodge any money, but he does have another way to help. Miles offers Dodge the chance to become the prey in a human hunting game. Dodge thinks that it's like paintball or tag, but Miles responds that it's a hunt to kill. Dodge is very skeptical and declares that he's going to the cops, but Miles says that he won't be able to prove anything. Dodge is about to exit the room, but Miles tells him that he could leave his family millions of dollars. Dodge and Miles go to the balcony. Dodge listens while Miles explains how the death game works. Episode 2, The Motivation. We get a flashback to days earlier. The setting is Detroit, Michigan. Dodge was a former college track star at the University of Michigan, but he's now a broke real estate developer and is heavily in debt. Dodge has a failed high-rise development called the Carrington, and he isn't able to find any investors. Dodge lives with his pregnant wife, Val. He also has a friend named Luger, who's a bar owner. Luger lost $50,000 investing in the Carrington, but he still has faith in Dodge. On his way to work, Dodge passes out from a headache in the middle of the street. Episode 3, The Rules. Dodge wakes up in the hospital and Val visits him. The doctors inform Dodge that he has an inoperable brain tumor. Dodge doesn't have any insurance, so he can't seek treatment. One of the nurses gives Dodge a business card for Tiro Fund, which is a company that supposedly helps sick people in trouble. Dodge only has a few more weeks to live, and he's angry that he's going to die. There are several ways to treat a brain tumor, such as surgery and radiation therapy, but those options are really expensive. Unfortunately, Dodge is broke, so he doesn't have a lot of choices. Dodge visits Tiro Fund, and we're back to where episode 1 left off. Miles explains the rules of the death game to Dodge. It's a 24-hour hunt, and for every hour that Dodge survives, more money will be wired into his bank account until the death game ends. If Dodge can survive the full 24 hours, then he can walk away rich. Dodge is going to die soon, so he doesn't have much to lose. He should definitely take the offer. Even if Dodge survives just 1 hour in the death game, he would still be able to leave a lot of money to his family. Miles tells Dodge that he can't stop or pause the death game once it begins. Furthermore, the death game takes place in Detroit, and if Dodge leaves the city, then the death game will never end. It will go on until he's killed. Finally, Dodge can't tell anyone else about the death game. There are 5 hunters in total. Dodge will get $50,000 for surviving the first hour, and it increases by $50,000 every hour until hour 20, which pays $1 million. It increases by $1 million every hour after that, culminating in the final hour, which pays $5 million. This means that the grand total is $24.5 million if Dodge can survive the full 24 hours of the death game. Dodge has the home field advantage since he grew up in Michigan and knows the city of Detroit a lot better than the hunters. Miles mentions that there will be no guns involved because the hunters need to get up close and personal. This is good for Dodge since he doesn't have to worry about getting shot. Dodge has to carry a cell phone with him at all times. He's only allowed to call Miles with it, and every hour, the cell phone will chime twice to give away Dodge's exact location for the next 15 seconds. Additionally, Dodge can't get rid of the cell phone. Miles gives Dodge his personal number and he leaves. Episode 4, The Acceptance. Dodge goes to work, but he's still unable to find any investors. Luger encourages Dodge to keep fighting. Dodge lies to Val and says that he got an investor, so some money will be coming in. Dodge calls Miles and accepts his offer. During the morning, Dodge goes to visit Miles at a diner. Miles orders some food for Dodge, but he doesn't eat it since he's not hungry. Dodge should eat something right now. He needs the energy to survive being hunted by 5 killers. Dodge most likely won't have time to stop and eat during the death game, so this is his only chance. Dodge should order some coffee because the caffeine will help him stay awake for the full 24 hours. Dodge probably won't get the opportunity to sleep during the death game either. Miles takes all of Dodge's belongings except for an ultrasound picture of his child, his medication, and the cell phone that he received earlier. Miles also pats Dodge down to make sure that he doesn't have any concealed weapons. Miles calls his associates and $50,000 is wired into Dodge's bank account. He gets to keep the money whether he lives through the first hour or not. Miles tells Dodge to keep moving. The hunters don't want to kill Dodge too publicly since they'll get arrested and go to prison. Miles informs Dodge that all 5 of the hunters are at the diner right now. The death game officially begins at 6:46 a.m. Episode 5, The Start. Dodge gets a 3-minute head start. The best place to hide is in plain sight. Dodge should go to crowded places for the rest of the day. His location will be revealed to the hunters every hour, but if there are a bunch of other people near Dodge, then the hunters shouldn't be able to find him among the crowds. Moreover, as Miles previously mentioned, the hunters don't want want to kill Dodge in public because they'll be sent to prison. The problem is that Dodge doesn't know who any of the 5 hunters are, so he won't know which people to avoid. Dodge immediately runs out of the diner and he gets onto a bus. This is a really bad choice. Dodge won't have anywhere to flee if another hunter is also on board. Dodge should be out in the open, so he has several escape routes if he encounters a hunter. Dodge could have stayed in the diner. It's not like the hunters would kill him there. Dodge doesn't have any money since he gave his wallet to Miles earlier, but the bus driver allows him to stay just this one time. A man gets onto the bus and he sits next to Dodge. The man is about to take something out of his lunchbox, but Dodge gets paranoid and he tells the bus driver to stop so he can get off. This is a smart choice because the man could be a hunter. Dodge shouldn't trust anyone since he doesn't know what the hunters look like. The man was at the diner too, so Dodge was right to be suspicious of him. Val sees that $50,000 has been deposited into Dodge's bank account and she's very surprised. Val calls Dodge, but he doesn't pick up because Miles has his phone right now. Episode 6. Wash hands after using. Dodge gets hit by a car while crossing the street. He should look both ways before crossing the street next time. If Dodge broke his legs, then it would be difficult for him to survive the hunt. Dodge goes to an office building and he gets into the elevator. Yet again, this is not a good decision. Dodge should take the stairs instead and avoid confined spaces like the elevator. Dodge won't have anywhere to run if he encounters a hunter in the elevator. Dodge steals a pen from a lady's purse. This is smart. Now, Dodge has a weapon to defend himself with. It's not much, but it's certainly better than nothing. If John Wick can kill several people with a pencil, then Dodge should be able to do some damage as well with the pen. The hunters can't use guns, so they have to get close to Dodge if they want to kill him. Dodge can use the pen and stab the hunters in the throat or eye. Dodge might also be able to find some other things that he can use as a weapon in this office building. For example, Dodge can disassemble the blade of a paper trimmer and use that as a weapon, like Leandra in the Belko experiment movie. Dodge could go to the kitchen and take a knife or cleaver. One of the hunters finds Dodge and he chases him to a higher floor. It was the same man who was in the elevator. Dodge goes to hide in one of the bathroom stalls, but the hunter comes in and confronts him. The bathroom is not a good hiding place since there's only one entrance or exit. Dodge should constantly keep moving. Hiding and waiting won't work in this death game because Dodge's exact location will be revealed to the hunters every hour instead of running upwards. Dodge could have ran back to the lobby since that's where all the crowds were. The hunter kicks all the stall doors open and finds Dodge. Episode 7. No running on the platform. The hunter's name is Nixon and he's about to kill Dodge with his ice pick. Nixon calls Miles and he's mad because the hunt is too easy. Nixon wants a refund and Miles apologizes to him. However, Dodge slams the bathroom stall door in Nixon's face and he dashes away. This was some quick thinking. Dodge could have also stabbed Nixon with a pen while he was down or kicked him in the face. It's kill or be killed in this death game. So Dodge shouldn't hesitate to kill the hunters when he has the chance. The hunters are severely underestimating Dodge, so he should use that to his advantage. There are many different ways to fight someone wielding a knife or ice pick. Going for the attacker's throat is the best method. You'll disrupt the person's breathing and they'll probably stop attacking you after a hard strike to the throat. Attacking the person's other sensitive spots, such as the eyes, is another good method since it'll cause them a lot of pain. Furthermore, try to grab the attacker's wrist. This will give you control of the knife's direction and you might have an opportunity to punch the attacker. In the meantime, Val gets a voicemail from the investor and realizes that Dodge is getting the money from somewhere else. An additional $100,000 has been deposited into the bank account. Dodge sprints to the lobby of the building, but a hunter named Reagan is there and he holds Dodge at knife point. Dodge shouldn't have let anyone get close to him. Reagan forces Dodge to go onto the escalator. He plans to take him to the loading docks, but Nixon sees what's happening. Nixon presses the emergency stop button. Dodge uses this opportunity to attack Reagan and escape when he's down, so the hunters aren't working together as a team. It's not a 5 against 1. This means that Dodge has a better chance of surviving since he'll only have to face one hunter at a time instead of all 5 of them. The hunters might also turn on one another and kill each other off one by one like what happened in the Apex movie. Nixon catches up to Dodge and he corners him. A police officer comes to see what's going on and Dodge is able to use the opportunity to escape again. Dodge is extremely lucky. If the police officer didn't come at this exact moment, then Nixon would have killed Dodge, especially since he had the high ground. But this is another method to avoid getting killed next time. Dodge should just make sure that a police officer is near him. The hunters don't want to go to jail, so they won't kill Dodge in front of a police officer. Dodge should go to the nearest police station and camp out in the front. Dodge flees from Nixon and he steals a bike, but Reagan comes out of nowhere and tackles Dodge off the bike. Dodge and Reagan fight. Reagan gets his foot stuck in the bike, so Dodge runs off. If Dodge still has that pen from earlier, then he can use it right now to stab Reagan in the throat or eye. Reagan throws his knife at Dodge, but he misses. Dodge could have taken the knife from the wall. He would have a better weapon to defend himself with. Dodge gets onto an elevated train and he narrowly avoids getting killed by Nixon. Similar to the bus and elevator, the elevated train is not a great place to be because there's nowhere Dodge can go if there's another hunter on board. Dodge should wipe away the blood from his face. A bystander might get concerned and call the police on him. Dodge would break the rules of the death game if he gets himself arrested. Reagan and Nixon get into an argument since it's against the rules to interfere with another hunter. This again proves that the hunters aren't working together. Dodge should play tricks with the hunters and get them to turn on each other. Episode 8. Please whisper in church. church. Dodge goes to a church and he hides in one of the confessional booths. Dodge starts talking to the pastor and he confesses his sins. Val visits the bank with Luger to find out where the money is coming from. It's from a foreign account, so there's no source because of international banking laws. An additional $150,000 has been deposited into the bank account, which is a total of $300,000 so far. Val and Luger go back home. Luger called the nearby hospital and morgues, but there's nobody matching Dodge's description. Val called the police since she knows that Dodge is in trouble. The police ask a few questions, but they can't file a missing persons report for 24 hours. This is true. You typically have to wait 24 to 72 hours before the police will take a missing persons report in Michigan. Dodge attacks a random guy waiting outside of the confessional booth. This is the right thing to do since the guy might be a hunter. Dodge can't take any chances. The pastor asks Dodge what's going on, but he shouldn't say anything because it's against the rules for Dodge to tell other people about the death game. Episode 9. Return tools to their place. It turns out that the pastor isn't actually a pastor, but a hunter named Carter. He was faking his American accent. The gates are all locked, so Dodge can't escape. Carter has a psychology degree and masters in behavioral studies. He predicted that Dodge would come to the church since it was something familiar to him. When scared, people subconsciously run towards the familiar. Carter pulls out a steel hammer. He got to the church before Dodge and locked all the doors. Carter didn't kill Dodge during the confession because he wanted to see if Dodge would break the rules or not and tell someone else about the death game. Carter attacks Dodge with a hammer. He accidentally destroys the lock, so Dodge is able to trap Carter in the other room. As Carter stated in the show, Dodge should use the prayer candles and burn the church to the ground. If Carter breaks out, then he's going to kill Dodge for sure. Dodge needs to kill Carter first to avoid that from happening. It's self-defense, so Dodge shouldn't be so hesitant to kill Carter. Carter admits that he read Dodge's file. This goes to show that the hunters knew who Dodge was all along. Hiding in plain sight won't work since the hunters will know who to look out for. Dodge should disguise himself to avoid being spotted. Dodge gets too close to Carter and he gets stabbed in the leg with the pointy side of the hammer. Dodge should have kept his distance. He could have listened to what Carter was saying from afar. He didn't need to be up close and personal. Dodge uses Carter's hammer to break the church's donation box and he steals some money. Stealing from the church is not a good thing to do, but Dodge is pretty desperate. At least Dodge has some money now. Dodge uses the hammer to pop the tire of Connell's car. Connell is Miles's associate who's been assigned to keep track of Dodge. Popping the tire is a wise decision, so Connell can't follow Dodge until he gets his tire replaced. But he should have taken the hammer with him so he would have a weapon to defend himself with. There's no good reason to leave the hammer behind. Dodge calls Miles and he tries to pause the death game because of his leg injury, but it's against the rules to do that, so Dodge has to take care of this problem himself. Dodge buys some medical supplies with the stolen money and he tends to his leg wound. Dodge won't be able to run anymore due to his leg injury, so he's at a big disadvantage. Dodge will have to find other methods of transportation for the rest of the death game if he wants to avoid getting killed by the hunters.
Episode 10. 5 for Fighting. Nixon checks Dodge's past location data and correctly deduces that he's hurt since he's moving slower and slower every hour. Nixon plans to go after Dodge and kill him this time. Dodge goes to a hockey game between the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Islanders. He's earned over $2.2 million so far. Dodge steals some merchandise from a vendor. Val finds the Tiro Fund business card in Dodge's files. Dodge puts on a jersey and a cap right as a bunch of people are walking out of the stadium because the hockey game has ended. Dodge blends in with the crowd. This is a clever strategy. Since Dodge can't run anymore, hiding among the crowds is the next best option for him. Unfortunately, Nixon has the high ground and is able to spot Dodge after he gets into an argument with a salesperson that he stole from. Dodge shouldn't have walked near here. Dodge goes to the parking lot and he hides in the trunk of a random car. The car drives to the freeway and Dodge hears that the car is headed to Birmingham. This will violate the rules of the death game because Dodge will be leaving Detroit. Episode 11. You always remember your first. The family in the car hears something coming from the trunk and they get off the freeway. The trunk is opened and Dodge gets out. Luckily, they're still in the city limits, so Dodge hasn't broken any rules. Dodge takes the couple's phones and he throws them away so they don't call the police. Dodge's plan of hiding in the trunk of the car is actually pretty smart. If he didn't get into a car that was leaving the city of Detroit, then it would be difficult for the hunters to find him as long as the car kept moving. The hunters would assume that Dodge is on a bus or something, not hidden in the trunk of a car. Dodge walks to a nearby gas station and he steals a taxi cab. Dodge plans to drive home and see Val. This is a big mistake. Dodge can't tell anyone else about the death game, so getting Val involved is going to put her in danger. Dodge would also break the rules, and the death game is never going to end. Dodge arrives back home. Carter escaped from the church earlier, and he comes to Dodge's house to attack him. Dodge immediately drives away without getting the chance to talk with Val. This is yet another reason why Dodge shouldn't have come home. The hunters have read Dodge's file, so they know where he lives. As Carter said earlier, people go towards the familiar when they're scared, and a person's home is the place that's most familiar to them. Dodge should have known better, since Carter told him this information before. Dodge can't keep making these mistakes. Maybe this plan would work if Dodge set up a bunch of traps around his house, like Kevin McAllister in the Home Alone movie, but that's not the case here. Carter follows follows Dodge on his motorcycle, and he pops the tire of the taxicab. Carter sneaks onto the taxicab, and he tries to cut Dodge's throat with a wire. Dodge did the right thing here by getting his hand in between the wire and his throat. Dodge crashes the taxicab. Carter is injured, and he can't move. Dodge picks up a nearby cinder block, and he bashes Carter's head, killing him. That's 1 down and 4 to go. This is the first time that Dodge has killed someone, but he didn't have much of a choice. Carter would keep coming after Dodge, and even threatened to kill Val, so he had to make sure to eliminate the problem. Dodge should have killed Carter back in the church. The best way to win the death game is to kill all 5 of the hunters. If nobody is hunting you anymore, then it would be a piece of cake to survive the rest of the time and claim the prize money of $24.5 million. Of course, this is a lot easier said than done. The hunters aren't just going to stand there and let you kill them. Episode 12. A ship is safe only in port. Val goes to the Tirafun building. It's completely abandoned though. Connell notifies Miles that Carter's body was dumped at the bottom of the lake in a steel coffin filled with lye, along with a DNA-covered cinder block. The motorcycle that Carter was riding has been wiped down and the serial numbers were removed. The stolen taxicab was left where it was, but Connell made sure to torch it just to be safe. Dodge steals a ticket and he goes on a ferry. This is not a good idea in case there are any hunters on board. Dodge should avoid public transportation because he doesn't know who the other 2 hunters are. An employee on the ferry talks with Dodge and she mentions that it's a 40-minute shoreline tour of the city. There is a free buffet included too. This is exactly what Dodge needs right now since he hasn't eaten all day and is very hungry. Dodge goes to the buffet room and he encounters another hunter named Kennedy. She was the employee that Dodge talked to earlier. This is why Dodge shouldn't have come onto the ferry. Moreover, Dodge shouldn't trust anyone since he was already tricked by Carter when he went to the church. Kennedy fights Dodge and she's about to stab him in the neck with a skewer. However, Dodge sets Kennedy's pants on fire with a nearby flame. Dodge runs to the deck of the ferry and Kennedy follows him. Kennedy informs Dodge that the ferry is headed towards Canadian waters, which means that the death game will never end if they leave Detroit. Dodge is fortunate that Kennedy gave him this tip. Kennedy could have kept quiet, and then Dodge would be forced to play the death game forever until he dies. Dodge climbs onto the bridge, but so does Kennedy. Dodge is able to kick Kennedy into the water though. Next time, Dodge needs to be more careful. He should have read the pamphlet so he would know where the ferry is going. Dodge steals clothing from a donation bin. This is a wise decision since the hunters have seen Dodge, so he needs to change his appearance. Dodge is exhausted because several hours have passed and he hasn't eaten any food. Dodge is really thirsty and he drinks dirty water from a puddle. This is not a smart choice because the water is filled with germs, viruses, and bacteria. It isn't safe to drink. There were plenty of chances Dodge could have drank water. For example, there was most likely a drinking fountain at the office building that Dodge went to earlier. Dodge could go to a public bathroom and drink the water from the sink. Dodge can also walk to the Carrington where he has a stash of water. Luger finds Dodge. He knew where Dodge was going to be since he came to this location a lot in the past when his dad got sick. Luger and Dodge drive off, but Dodge isn't able to tell Luger what's going on. Dodge isn't supposed to get help from anyone else either. It seems like you can cheat as long as Connell doesn't see it. Nixon chases them, so Dodge jumps out of the car. It would be better to stay in the car and lose Nixon. Dodge is really tired and he can't run due to his injured leg. Sooner or later, the hunters will catch up to Dodge if he's on foot because they have access to cars and he doesn't. Episode 13. Always get a second opinion. Dodge gets knocked unconscious and kidnapped by some gangsters. Dodge should know the city of Detroit pretty well, so he should avoid going to danger zones where the gangsters and thugs hang out. Luger tells Val what happened and he has her come to the bar for safety. The gangsters access Dodge's phone and they saw that he has over $15 million in his bank account. Dodge attempts to warn the gangsters about the hunters, but they think that he's joking. The gangsters also inform Dodge that his pain pills are just aspirin. The gangsters demand money from Dodge, but he refuses. Dodge gets beat up by the gangsters, but another hunter comes. It's the same man from the bus. It was a good thing that Dodge got paranoid and headed off the bus. The man is a hunter named LBJ. He's using a gun, which isn't allowed in the death game, but only for killing Dodge. LBJ kills most of the gangsters and goes after Dodge next. Dodge tries to escape, but Reagan is waiting for him outside, so he stays in the bathroom. LBJ is about to kill Dodge with a high-voltage taser, but he gets shot in the head and killed by one of the other gangsters who didn't die yet. That's 2 down, 3 to go. Again, this is technically against the rules since Dodge isn't supposed to receive help from anyone, but I guess it's fine because Connell wasn't there. Dodge takes the gun from the ground and he runs away. Connell comes to get rid of the evidence and clean things up. Nixon spots Dodge and he drives after him. Dodge could use the gun to shoot Nixon. He wouldn't be expecting to get shot. Dodge runs to the hospital that he was at earlier in the series. Dodge talks to the receptionist and asks her to check out his pills. The receptionist confirms that Dodge's pills are just an anti-inflammatory, and there are no records of him in the system being admitted to this hospital. The wing of the hospital that Dodge was at has been under construction for months. If Dodge paid attention to his surroundings, then he would have noticed that the building was unfinished, and there was a lot of construction equipment. Dodge calls Miles, and he knows that he's been set up. Dodge threatens to go after Miles and hunt him. Episode 14, What's Old is New Again. The only reason why Dodge agreed to participate in the death game was because he's dying soon, but it turns out that Dodge doesn't actually have an inoperable brain tumor. Dodge should have suspected that something was wrong a long time ago, since he's a really healthy person and runs several miles every day. Moreover, brain tumors are more common in children and older adults. Miles admits that Dodge was indeed set up. Dodge plans to go to the cops, but Miles reveals that Luger accepted a $50,000 bribe to drug Dodge's water, and the death game is still going on. Miles spent a fortune to get Dodge into the death game by hiring fake cops and doctors, so he won't let it end early. Dodge can't put a stop to the death game, but now he really has something to fight for. Dodge has decades left to live if he can survive for the next 90 minutes. Dodge kept the gun he took from the gangsters, so this means that the other hunters are allowed to use guns now as well. Dodge should get rid of his gun so the other hunters can't use guns either. Dodge doesn't seem like he's very experienced with guns, so it would be better if there were no guns involved in this death game. Miles says that the objective remains the same, and if Dodge can survive until sunrise, then he'll win. Dodge shouldn't trust Miles after what he did to him. It's highly likely that Miles is lying to Dodge again, and he won't be able to keep any of the money in the end. Dodge calls Val from a payphone, and he tries to warn her about what happened. This is a bad idea since Dodge isn't supposed to let other people know about the death game. Val is with Luger, and Dodge tells her to meet him at the spot he proposed to her in 15 minutes. Connell calls Miles and recommends termination, but Miles refuses to end the death game early and ruin a history that has lasted over 2,000 years. Val goes to the location that Dodge told her to meet at. Some fake cops come and kidnap Val. This is why Dodge shouldn't have threatened Miles earlier. Miles knows everything about Dodge, and Dodge doesn't know anything about Miles, not even his real name. The fake cops demand Dodge to finish the hunt. Val is brought to Miles as a hostage. Miles explains that he tapped Val's phone when she called the cops to redirect outgoing calls, and they sent the fake police officers to the house. Miles enlightens Val about what's really been happening to Dodge. Val is mad, and she slaps Miles in the face harder than Will Smith slapped Chris Rock in the face at the Oscars. Dodge goes to his dad's old car plant. He sets traps for the 3 remaining hunters and invites them to come. This is a bad decision. There's only an hour remaining in the death game, so Dodge shouldn't go looking for trouble. He should continue to be on the move and try to avoid the hunters instead of confronting them. This isn't a battle royale tournament where the last person alive is the winner. Dodge doesn't need to kill anyone to win. He just has to survive until the death game ends. Now that guns are allowed in the death game, the hunters don't need to get close to Dodge. They can shoot him from a distance, so Dodge needs to be extra cautious. He shouldn't stand out in the open because there could be snipers. Episode 15, Game Over. Kennedy, Reagan, and Nixon head to the car plant to kill Dodge. They split up, and Dodge holds Reagan at gunpoint. He demands to know where Val is, but Reagan doesn't know anything. Reagan disarms Dodge, and they fight. Dodge shouldn't have let Reagan get close to him. Dodge is able to trap Reagan, and he walks away. Dodge trips and drops his gun. Luger comes and picks up Dodge's gun. Dodge accuses Luger of drugging him, but Luger denies it. Luger shoots and kills Kennedy. That's 3 down, 2 to go. Connell isn't nearby, so he can't report what happened to Miles. Nixon shoots at Dodge and Luger, so they flee. Dodge blows the car plant up. Reagan is killed, but Nixon escapes. That's 4 down, 1 to go. Luger got shot by Nixon, so Dodge leaves him to get rescued by the police and paramedics. Dodge apologizes to Luger for the false accusations earlier. Dodge attacks Connell and he holds him at gunpoint. Dodge demands to know where Val is being kept. It turns out that Miles and his crew are set up at the Carrington. If Dodge went to the Carrington to get water, he would know where Miles and his crew are at. Dodge goes to the Carrington and he reunites with Val. Nixon followed Dodge to the Carrington and he chases him to the rooftop. Dodge doesn't have a gun anymore, so Nixon puts his gun away and he uses an ice pick instead. Dodge can't fight back since he doesn't have any weapons. As previously mentioned, there are a lot of different ways to fight someone wielding a knife or ice pick. Additionally, Dodge could have used one of those planks of wood as a weapon, or even the latter. Dodge falls and he hangs from the ledge. Nixon is about to stab Dodge's hand and kill him, but the sun rises. This means that the death game is officially over. Nixon puts his ice pick away and offers Dodge his hand. Dodge grabs Nixon's hand and he helps him to his feet. Nixon congratulates Dodge for the good game and he walks away. Dodge is lucky that Nixon always plays by the rules. He could have killed Dodge even though the death game was over. It's not like anyone else was there to witness what happened. Dodge and Val embrace. Miles calls Dodge and informs him that he's won the death game. Miles hopes that Dodge will enjoy the rest of his life. Finally, the series ends with Miles leaving Detroit and getting a new file for the next prey. Most Dangerous Game has been renewed for a 2nd season at the Roku channel. There's currently no official release date yet. Writer Nick Santora revealed that Season 2 will take place in New York. Liam Hemsworth won't be back, but Christoph Waltz will return as Miles Sellers, and David Castaneda will star as the new prey named Victor Suero, who's a down-on-his-luck fighter. He agrees to participate in the death game to protect his sister. Season 2 will be in the same short-form format as Season 1. Furthermore, Most Dangerous Game was nominated for Outstanding Short-Form Comedy or Drama Series, and and Outstanding Actor in a Short-Form Comedy or Drama Series at the 2020 Primetime Emmy Awards. The series has received mixed reviews from critics and audiences. What did you think of Most Dangerous Game? Additionally, which movie or anime should I do next? Leave a suggestion. Check out some of the other videos on this channel.
If you want to watch another movie starring Liam Hemsworth, check out Isn't It Romantic? Here are some Easter eggs.
Isn't It Romantic is a 2019 American satirical fantasy movie. In this video, let's take a look at some Isn't It Romantic Easter eggs and trivia. The song Oh Pretty Woman plays right at the beginning of the movie. This is a 1964 song by Roy Orbison. Speaking of Pretty Woman, we see that young Natalie is watching the 1990 movie Pretty Woman on the TV. Rebel Wilson plays the adult version of Natalie. This is actually her first lead role in any movie. While at work, Natalie allows Whitney, her assistant, to watch movies on the computer. Whitney is a big fan of romantic comedies, and we see that she's watching the 2004 movie 50 First Dates. It's by no coincidence that several different romantic movies are mentioned in the movie's dialogue. There's Sweet Home Alabama, Notting Hill, and 13 Going on 30. Isabella is a Pantene model. Pantene is a real company. It's a Swiss-created American brand of hair care products. Priyanka Chopra, the actress who plays Isabella, has actually worked with Pantene before in real life, so this is definitely a reference to that. In the movie, Adam Devine and Priyanka Chopra play love interests. Their real-life partners, Chloe Bridges and Nick Jonas, played love interests in the 2010 movie Camp Rock 2: The Final Jam. While Natalie and Whitney are chatting via text message, we see that Whitney sent Natalie a gif of hot dogs thrown at a girl's face. This is from the Nostalgia Chicks review of the 2001 movie Freddy Got Fingered. Jack the Mugger is played by Dean Neistat. This is actually Casey Neistat's brother. In the dream world, Liam Hemsworth is using his native Australian accent. This is one of the few movies where Liam Hemsworth is using his real Australian accent. He usually has to do an American accent. The brand of champagne Dom Perignon is mentioned, and it's stated that Dom Perignon was a monk. Surprisingly, this is actually true. Dom Perignon was a Benedictine monk, who was an important quality pioneer for champagne wine. Natalie mentions how the dream world is like the Matrix for lonely women. This is a reference to the 1999 movie The Matrix. This isn't even the first 2019 movie to mention The Matrix. The Lego Movie 2, the second part, also had a Matrix reference. This is certainly a nice reference because The Matrix turns 20 years old this year. In the movie, Natalie is left-handed. This is very fitting because Rebel Wilson is actually left-handed in real life as well. During the yacht dinner date with Blake, Natalie is wearing a red off-the-shoulder dress. This is yet another Pretty Woman reference. It's the same exact dress design that Julia Roberts' character wears when she attends the opera. Josh mentions the so not worthy quote from the 1992 movie Wayne's World.
We're not worthy!
Towards the end of the movie, the doctor says that they're filming an episode of Law & Order SVU at the hospital where Natalie is at. Law & Order SVU is an American crime drama TV series. This movie does take place in New York, which is where the Law & Order TV show is filmed. We get yet another Pretty Woman reference when Natalie leaves the hospital. The dress and hat that she's wearing is the same as Julia Roberts' character after she shopped on Rodeo Drive. During the musical number at the very end of the movie, we see that Blake is playing the saxophone. This is most likely a reference to the epic sax guy meme. Additionally, this is Liam Hemsworth's first musical number. All of the other main cast members have been in numerous musical numbers, and they would often tease Liam during filming. Furthermore, the musical number at the end was created specifically after positive feedback from test audiences for the movie's other musical numbers. Director Todd Strauss-Schulson actually watched 65 romantic comedies over a period of 2 weeks in order to prepare for this movie. Furthermore, this is the second meta movie that Todd Strauss-Schulson has directed. He also directed the 2015 movie The Final Girls. This is about a group of friends that get transported into a horror movie. That movie also starred Adam Devine. Rebel Wilson and Adam Devine have played love interest several times before, in Workaholics, Pitch Perfect, and Pitch Perfect 2. During test screenings of the movie, Rebel Wilson would actually wear a wig and sunglasses, and sneak into the movie to hear feedback from the audience. Well, that's it for this video. What did you think of Isn't It Romantic? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Also, let me know which is your favorite satirical movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications for my channel so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.